That's for you, KG. Welcome to the Kindness Chronicles, where, once again, we hope to inject the world with a dose of the Minnesota kindness that it desperately needs. It's like a snow globe out there in Minnesota today. The snow is coming down like crazy. We've got a really special, I think our first return guest.
Yes.
We've done 180 some episodes, and this is the first recycled guest. We got great response.
We didn't get enough of them, so yeah.
Well, and it's the topic is very germane to the season. But
yeah.
Kevin Gorg is on with us. Hello, KG.
Hello, Johnny.
Hello, how are you? We got Steve Brown.
Hey.
Steve, why don't you introduce your friend?
I brought my good friend, my old pal, Stephen Russell, who's from San Francisco, and he hasn't been back here for 14 years. He is a fellow songwriter. He and I wrote a lot of the songs that my band has been playing for many, many years. So just an old friend, and we're having a great time visiting and hanging out stuff.
Very old.
He's very old.
Very
friend.
old. And we have our senior engineer, also vice president of technology, Jeff Hoffman. He just keeps getting promoted every week.
I love it.
It's like a field promotion. Is that kind of how it is? And then we've got
just happy to be here, so I appreciate it, John. Thank you.
Dr. Quentin Schultze. We're going to get to him in just a second. But Kevin, you were on a trip with the Wild, and I think they split 2-2. Is that how it went?
Yep. 2-2, which, again, when you go on the road, that's all you can hope for is try to play 500 hockey or better. They got away with it. They lost couple of players to concussions last night with Zuccarello and Middleton likely out for the week, which is a bummer. But they bumped the flight up a little bit today because of this winter storm we're receiving. So we were supposed to land a little closer to 5, but we landed at 3. And everybody got home safe. And I've been looking forward to this episode all week long. And, great to be back home after 9 days on the road.
Well, Welcome home. And, Jeff, you have a prepared introduction. This is big.
I do. So we'll and then we'll let Dr. Q maybe comment a little bit on the background music. So hopefully the sound works, and here we go. All right, today on the Kindness Chronicles, we're welcoming back a friend of the show, Dr. Quentin Schultze. Quentin is a communications professor emeritus at Calvin University and has authored or edited over 30 books. I first discovered Dr. Schultze last Christmas on Mike Rowe's podcast, where he talked about his Amazon bestseller, You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, Life Lessons from a Christmas Story. And he shared the incredible backstory of his relationship teaching storytelling with the great Gene Shepard, the radio storyteller who wrote the original concept and screenplay for the film. Dr. Schultze joined us for our July 4th episode after I realized that Shepard had written The Great American 4th of July and Other Disasters, which I had seen back at PBS in 1982 when I was 12 years old. And I always remember it around 4th of July timeframe. So here we are, several months later in the heart of the Christmas season. It feels like the perfect time to bring Quentin back to talk about Shepard's World, the enduring charm of a Christmas story, and why these simple, funny, very human stories still bring people together.
Oh, and the music back in.
Let's get into it, guys. Please help me welcome back to the Kindness Chronicles, Dr. Quentin Schultze.
Oh, he hit the mark.
Nice.
How about that? He hit the post.
The guy's a professional. He's a vice president of
I'm just doing
production.
the best
Vice
I can.
President
That's
of
awesome.
Technology.
Welcome, sir. Welcome back.
Thank you. Very nice introduction. Wow. I don't know who that person was.
Well, I learned from the best and
sounds good.
my virtual communications professors, Dr. Schultze. So thank you for your teaching.
Yeah. Little AI there to make it up.
That's right. That's right. That helped a little.
Well, I just want to start by sharing with our audience that if you're a fan of A Christmas Story, after having read this book, it almost should be like required to read the book. I'm going to hold the book up here. There it is. It's all dog-eared and marked up. I took notes as I was reading it, but it really is, you know, obviously you are a master storyteller. And when you have a storyteller telling the stories of another storyteller, there's a lot of storytelling going on there. But man, I just really appreciate the twist that you put. I'm going to watch the show very differently the next time I watch it.
I think we want to bring our listeners into understanding what the connection is. We need to hear from Dr. Quentin.
Yeah, exactly. So Dr. Q, could you provide us a backstory about who Gene Shepherd is, and maybe with that intro music I used and the significance of that?
Yeah, okay. The intro music is what Gene used on his radio show on the station WOR in New York, which is a so-called clear channel station, when he was on for many years with his nighttime show, which was basically stream of consciousness storytelling, where he told stories, including the different kinds of stories that make up A Christmas Story, the movie. He was enormously popular. And he liked that Bonfry Overture because it means basically
clear the track, doesn't it?
Yeah, clear the track. Get out of the way. Here comes Gene, and you'll never be the same again. The train is coming down the track, and so he would run that all the time. In fact, I just recorded a live video I did about Gene, and I used that for the opening in the live video, because it's so related to him. But he had a phenomenal audience. He at night with his show, which you could pick up with a decent AM radio, all the way to the Mississippi, and then up into Canada and down to Florida. And he became a sensation through that radio show. And along the way, he started doing other things like writing up his stories. And so he did novels. He started writing screenplays, a number of them for PBS. He had shows on PBS that were basically like he would do on the radio, with telling stories. Gene Shepherd's America was one of them. And he did Broadway. He started on Broadway at one point. He was the only person that I could find as a new communication professor who was not only a fantastic storyteller, and I mean really, really good, but he could take the same basic story and figure out how to convert it to every medium, so it would work in each medium, including him alone on stage, where I had him come to town, and in an hour and 45 minutes, he told one story about something that happened to him in school, and he acted out all the characters himself with no props, using only his body and his voice. It was stunning. So he is one of the great storytellers of the 20th century in the United States. I would put him in the top 3 or so. Mark Twain would be number 1, but Mark Twain died in 1910. And so that's who he was, and he became phenomenally well known. But for those on the West Coast and didn't have access to his radio shows over the year, though most of them are online now, just look up Gene. It's Jean Shepherd. He hated that, Gene, but yeah. Gene Shepherd. And you'll find all kinds of his radio shows that are posted, and you can listen to them. But a lot of people didn't know about him. And even to this day, though, A Christmas Story, he wrote the screenplay for the movie A Christmas Story, about Ralphie who wants the Red Ryder BB rifle. Most people don't know that he wrote the screenplay, and they don't know that he is the voice-over playing the older Ralphie. And it's not a narrator, it's actual person.
Actually, Dr. Q, I have a little sample. Let me play one.
Okay.
The entire neighborhood was turned on.
Oh, you should see what it looks like from out here.
It could be seen up and down Cleveland Street, the symbol of the old man's victory.
If he won that, it's a major award.
There you go.
Wow.
His voice was just...
It makes it,
His
right?
voice is Christmas to me.
Yes.
Yeah, his voice he had an incredible voice, and he was born with a great voice, really. And so you think of him then as not only writing the script, but he wanted to get across certain messages, and he figured that by playing the older Ralphie, commenting upon what it was like when he was younger and what happened with the rifle and other things, the leg lamp and all the rest, that he could really get at the points that he wanted to make. And so he insisted that it had to be him and not a narrator. And so you can actually listen to that movie without seeing the images, and you'll find it funny.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to level set something too. Our listeners heard this in the past when we talked to Dr. Quentin, but can you give us the quick version of how you got to know him? What's your connection with him?
Yeah, it's actually pretty simple. Thanks for asking that.
Yeah.
I was a new communication professor in the late 70s and then into the early 80s, and I realized in the research that the most potent form of human expression is story. If you can tell a story, you can inform people, you can persuade them, you can do all kinds of things, but it depends on being able to tell a story well. It's one of the defining characteristics, I think, of what makes a human being a human being, is the enjoyment of story. So I wanted to know how you tell stories well, and I couldn't find any textbooks that were any good. Textbooks were all just awful. Among other things, they didn't use stories to explain how stories work. It was all this goofy theory. So I had listened to Gene back in the 70s, and late 60s, growing up in Chicago. I could pick up WR radio and listen to him, and I thought, this is the guy I want to learn from. How do I get in touch with him? And I knew he was a ham radio operator because he said that often, and I was a ham radio operator too. And there's a federal database that you can look up any ham operator and get their address.
Right, yeah.
So I got his address. I wrote him a note and I said, I'm a communication professor. I don't know how to tell stories. So you're the master, and I'd like to learn. And so he wrote back. He said, you're out of your mind. He said, you have to really work at it. This is not something I can quickly teach you. And, it's not like picking up a textbook and learning. So he said, if you're serious about this, we're going to have to spend time together, and you're going to have to watch what I do. And then you're going to have to listen to how I explain what I do and why I do it. And then you're going to have to practice it over and over again. And he thought that would be the end of it. But no, I wrote back and I said, okay, Mr. Shepard, let's do it. I am hereby inviting you to come to my university, and we will co-teach storytelling, which will really be all your stories, because I had practically everything that he had been doing, copies of it, knew it, and we're going to use your stories. We're going to invite any student of any major that wants to learn storytelling. And so that began a relationship with him and teaching storytelling for a number of years. He died in 99. And the last I communicated with him was about a year and a half or 2 years before that. We were going to do the course again, even that late in his life. And unfortunately, his health was really getting bad, and I didn't know it. And his wife passed away shortly after that. But the last thing that he wrote to me, he would write letters that his wife would do on the computer. He didn't use email and all that stuff, but he said that he was doing a story based on a used car salesperson called working at Quentin's Used Cars.
Okay.
And he would always take people that he knew and put their names in.
Nice.
I wrote him back and I said, Gene, I don't get it. Quentin. And he said, well, it's very simple. He said, you professors are all the same. You're like used car salespeople, because you just take age-old ideas, wisdom, and you repackage it in new language, and you get promoted to assistant and associate professor, and you get tenure and all. But all you're doing is recycling. You're selling old cars. And I said,
oh, I was just going to say, keep going, keep finishing your story.
Yeah,
and then
I was just going to say the end of the story is that he's absolutely right. I have to admit that.
I was just going to say that there's been so many times that this show and the co-hosts of the Kindness Chronicles remind me of some of these things you've shared. For example, the C+ Ralphie gets. That was a real life story. Gene got a C+, didn't he, in English? And John got, what did you get in biology, John?
In college?
I got a 6. Do we have to talk about that? I got a 6 out of 100.
You talk about it a lot, and it changed the career of your life.
I know, but
here's why I think it's relevant, because Dr. Q said A Christmas Story is all about pursuing your dreams. And that professor helped guide you from biology and pre-med to sales. So tell the story.
Chapter 3, be flexible.
There you go.
So, one of the things that I loved about this book, it truly is life's lessons in this book. And chapter 3, be flexible. Your story that you brought up is exactly right. Quentin, I wanted to be a biology major, not because I enjoyed biology or I wanted to be a doctor, but I thought it would impress girls that I was pre-med. And I took my first biology exam. I got a 6 out of 100. I went to the professor and I said, Dr. Scherer was his name. I don't think this is for me. And he said, I don't think it is either. Why are you a biology major? And my quick answer was girls. And he said, you sound like a marketing major. So I walked down Aquinas Hall and went to and I changed to a marketing major.
And
Boom.
John is
Look
a
at you
very
now.
successful.
Very,
he runs this
very
successful
successful.
podcast. No,
That's
he's a
right.
CEO.
Yeah, wait.
And he's doing great things with his life. So.
Yeah.
But
That's a great story.
And truly, when you look at this, can we just go through this book a little bit? Because I think it takes you through the movie. You know, Jeff mentioned pursue your dreams. And, you know, you in the book, you describe, you know, Ralphie has this dream of getting this particular toy, this gun. And regardless
being
of
the savior, yeah.
and being the savior and, you know, saving his family from, you know,
Black Bart.
From Black Bart. But, you know, he put so much into it. He wrote that wrote his deal that he got a C+ on, but it didn't deter him. Santa Claus, you know, puts his boot in his face and pushes him down the thing, and that doesn't deter him. And he shoots his eye out, and that still doesn't deter him. So I thought that it was, you know, to be tenacious and to pursue your dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't let them become obsessions so that they interfere with the rest of your life.
Well, and that, you know, the curtail your obsessions is chapter 2. And Quentin, I'm a Freemason, secret handshake guy. And one of our goals in communicating with others is to whisper wise counsel and to, you know, curtail your obsessions. You know, don't let those things interrupt, you know, the rest of your life. And, you know, I just think that, again, the way that you interpret is your interpretation. Is it your interpretation, or did you get some of this from Gene? Like, was he explaining? Did he help you navigate the stories behind this movie?
Yes. As far as I know, I'm the only person alive or passed away that Gene opened up to, both about how he told stories and as a parabolic storyteller. That is, stories that work on 2 levels. There's what you see and hear and all, but then there's this meaning, this overarching meaning, like pursue your dreams or curtail your obsessions or whatever. So he had a worldview, Gene did, of these different things that he believed were truisms, and like he was a professor, or I compared him often to a theologian. So yes, these are the life lessons that form his worldview. There are 4 more that I didn't include in this book because they're not as much connected to the movie. But when you look at the whole of Gene's work across the different media, what you find is that they all use these 24, one or more of these 24. Yeah, so it's Gene's brilliance, and it's not to say that I agree with every one of them exactly, okay? There are some things that he gets into, particularly about the differences between male and female and all, that are really important. But for him, he reversed the stereotypes that are typical for what makes males and females different. And so in that kind of case, I did not include it in the book because, well, I included a little bit of it, talked about it a little bit, because moms are always the heroes in his stories, because women are practical and they solve problems that men create, because men are romantics at heart, and they search things. They search women, they go after women, and then substitutes for women, like a rifle or a car or things.
Or a leg.
And then women have to bail them out. So yeah, they're basically Gene's lessons. I had to decide how to define them, because when I would talk with Gene about it, he would give me a 2-sentence answer, you know, of what that life lesson is. And I'd say, okay, now I got to get that down to something that I can do in a book that's for people who like the movie or should like the movie, or at least see it. Go ahead.
I was wondering if we could just go around and, there are scenes from that movie that are iconic, and iconic is overused at times, but this truly is an example of a movie that has become synonymous with Christmas. And I'm going to start. The scene at the very end of the movie when the family, the Bumpus dogs come and steal the turkey, and they end up in the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
And in that Chinese restaurant, they're them pivoting to going from the Christmas
Classic,
turkey.
yeah.
But I mean, there is an example of being flexible. And, that's one of my favorite scenes, the fa ra 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 ra, for obvious reasons. But can you, Quentin, can you tell us a little bit about that particular scene and what the message he was trying to share through that?
Yeah, Gene, in the original script, I have both the original script that he wrote and then also what the script became that they shot from. Okay. And then, but my conversations were primarily with Gene in terms of the original script. And he wanted to do something when the Christmas dinner, the turkey was stolen by the Bumpus dogs.
Bumpus hounds.
He wanted some funny transition that would also say something. And I'll tell you what it says in just a minute. But so he came up with this idea that they went out to, I'm trying to remember if he wouldn't have said Asian. I think in the original script, he said Chinese restaurant. Or no, I think he said chop suey restaurant.
It was a chop suey restaurant. Yes.
Yeah, he said chop suey.
Even less politically correct. Yeah.
So much of this movie is politically incorrect, and yet it's the most popular movie in America. 50 million.
Yep.
It's real. It's real.
So he came up with this thing, and then the designers came up with what the restaurant should look like, and the sign is a joke. It's bowling. It's like a bowling alley with the W not working, and the difference between the name up above and the marquee, and then what it says on the door, and then they wanted. Gene's idea was that you have to be flexible, because often these things that you think are going to be so great, like this turkey. He's salivating like Pavlov's dog with this turkey that his wife is making. And he's going in there and trying to take pieces of it. And she's saying, stop, you'll get worms. It's not done. And so it's this great letdown when the dogs come in and the old man is left with one little wing, and you wonder,
so
is he gonna
pathetic.
eat that or
sitting there holding that wing.
Yeah, he tosses it and then he says, okay, everybody. We are get dressed, get upstairs, get dressed. We are going out to eat, because what Gene wanted to happen was that they have a great time. They lose out on this wonderful dinner together, but they go to a restaurant where Christmas, they're the only people in it. And the proprietor and his family or whoever is working there are great people. And they want to bring joy into the life of this family that came there on Christmas, probably thinking nobody was going to go there on
It was the magic of Christmas Day, and it took a kind of a grinchy old dad and made him soft and nice and charming and flexible.
Yeah.
And what I loved about the movie is the actress, the actress that played the mom,
Melinda,
was not aware of the fact that this bird that they were going to put in front of them would have the head, and when they chopped the head off, that was her. That was not in the script,
right? And they kept
the
it.
director wanted her to have a genuine reaction to that bird getting its head chopped off, and that was one take.
Wow.
I mean, it's so dang funny.
It is great.
Yeah, I think I put that in the book, didn't I?
Well, yeah, that's why I brought it up.
And
I wouldn't have known that if it weren't in the book.
I forget sometimes what things I did and what didn't. I didn't want to write too long a book with too much trivia stuff. But yeah, that was great. And then the kids didn't know, and Melinda Dillon didn't know. But of course, the old man, Darren McGavin playing the old man, knew. Bob Clark, the director, told him what was going to happen, and that, and so Darren would kind of mention non-verbally to the family there that this thing came out, it had a head on and so on, and like this, and then the understanding the non-verbals there, because it would ruin the gag if he said what the problem was.
Yeah.
Then the proprietor takes that cleaver and kabam, and Melinda Dillon goes crazy. Bob Clark was brilliant about that, just brilliant.
And what's funny about Bob Clark, just for everybody's information, he was the director of the movie Porky's, and they got him to do this movie, or he got them to fund the movie if he promised to do a Porky's 2, which is just hilarious.
Wow.
But wasn't Jack Nicholson going to be, wasn't he approached to play the old man? And Gene Shepherd said, no.
Well, he was too expensive, more than the budget could even allow. So I'll let Dr. Q share. But then I want to talk about Seinfeld too, and we bring KG into this.
Yeah. The thing is that you have these studios out there that give you money to make movies, and these studios have all these executives that make phenomenal amounts of money, and they think that their wisdom about what's going into a movie is better than what the screenwriter or director could do. See? And so they said, well, if we're going to give him some money to do this film, which we don't want to do anyway, you got to have a big star in it. And so we're suggesting that you have Jack Nicholson. And Shepherd and Bob Clark both were furious over this because they didn't think that Jack Nicholson could play that old man. And I would agree with that. And so, but then they went through the agent to find out what it would cost to get Jack Nicholson. And it was more than the budget of the whole movie.
Oh, my God.
So that was the end of that. And
Steven, you had a comment?
No, I was just going to say about
Fade Apart.
No, Bob Clark. He also did Black Christmas.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just like a
Really?
a horror film with
horror.
Margot Kidder from Superman.
Oh, wow.
I think
And some people from SCTV.
that's a cool backstory with him, and sadly he passed away early. But what I understand is Bob Clark heard Gene Shepherd talking about the tongue on the pole radio story, and that's what said, who is this guy? I've got to write a story of that began his process of seeking out Gene, similar to how you did. But could you talk about compassionate storytelling? Because that's really, I wanted to ask about that and how it ties into Seinfeld, because I've heard KG ask some really good questions of some of our guests in the past. He's interested in KG. I don't mean to speak for you, but let's let Dr. Q talk about that, and then maybe the two of you could interact a little.
Yeah. So first of all, Gene would say he was not a comedian. He was a humorist. And the difference is that comedy has a lot to do with slapstick, with one-liners, with nasty language. The one-liners are often put-downs. Even if you watch a lot of situation comedies, the one-liners are really somebody putting down somebody else, and then you see a close-up of their face, the reaction shot. Mm-hmm. He did not think that was really funny. And most of the sitcoms, and I'll just bored him. He said the humor comes from the whole story, the whole situation, the characters in the situation. And that's where you get this humor. And he said, you always, to do real humor, you have to do it in a way where you're not putting down the characters, you're not making fools of them, but you're helping the audience, the listener, the viewer, the reader, to have empathy for them and to have compassion toward them. Compassion literally meaning to suffer with them as they go through whatever they went through. And he said often in lectures to the students that you should not write humor about anyone, a made-up character, let's say, that you don't also love. You gotta love them. And so he wanted that in the stories. And so people often say to me, why is A Christmas Story so popular? And the fact of the matter is that everybody loves all the characters, including to some extent the bullies.
Yeah.
Okay. Even the bullies are dealt with in a way where they're not totally bad people.
They have little moments here. Yeah.
And so and so in the back of the book, I do an appendix where I lay out the way that Gene would develop a story in this compassionate storytelling. From the beginning, he would see somebody do something or hear something, see an article in a newspaper or whatever, and then around that he would start building a story. and he would use names that have double meanings or triple meanings and so on. Like Scud Farkas, the bully, is named after the Scud missile system, the Soviet missile system, because Gene believed that authoritarian regimes are basically bullies. And he came up with that during the Cold War. And then he added to it that Scud Farkas had yellow eyes, and the Russian cat has yellow eyes. So there's the Russian thing again. And also the goggles that the Soviet pilots wore during World War II were made them what were called by Americans and others yellow eyes, because they were yellowish goggles. And so Gene would put this stuff together, working on two levels. One, the international conflict and all with bullies, and then he would come up with a more kindly neighborhood bully and put it in there.
Kevin, the KG is our, I guess you'd call him our resident Seinfeld expert.
Yes.
And Jerry Seinfeld talks about the fact that Gene Shepherd was quite a inspiration for him. He was a big fan of Gene Shepherd. Kevin, give us your favorite scene from the Christmas Story, and tell us a little bit about the connection that you have to Seinfeld.
Well, I think the two are really similar in the way that the characters are developed on Seinfeld, that love that Dr. Q just talked about that you have for these characters, even the lovable, kind of the buffoonery like George Costanza and Kramer and some of their trials and tribulations. I look at this movie the same way. The dad, for me, makes the movie. And, my father and I are movieaholics. And when this movie came out, I was a sophomore in high school in 1983, and my dad took us all to see the movie. And it was somewhere around the holiday season. It was after Thanksgiving, but I know it was before Christmas. And the scene I always go back to, it's one of the most iconic scenes in this movie, is when the leg lamp arrives in the Fragile box. And that guy is my dad. Like that is exactly Kenny Gore.
Special prize.
My dad, when that lamp, and he's so proud, even though it's I could just see my mom, like just, grimacing in utter pain that this is going to go in the window in our neighborhood. But that's exactly how my dad would have done it. And that 5 to 7 minutes to me is what brings me back to my childhood and makes this movie so sentimental for me. And we actually one year, many years later, got my dad one of those replica leg lamps, and he proudly used to bring it out every year for Christmas. He's in assisted living now. He's got dementia, but I'm telling you right now that scene tugs at my heartstrings as much as makes me giggle.
Kevin,
every time I see it.
Do you mean this one?
Fragile. It must be Italian.
This is fragile.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what's so fun is the fact that, the reason that the old man got the major award is because Mom helped him finish the crossword puzzle.
That's right.
So Mom was the hero.
Yeah, the hero. Yeah.
She was ultimately the hero of the story. And how about when the leg lamp got broken? Can you enlighten us a little bit on the what that broken leg lamp represented for Gene Shepherd?
So the leg lamp, of course, you're exactly right. Mom knows this bit of trivia that's relative to a contest in a Chicago paper. I think they say Chicago, but at any rate, a newspaper in northern Indiana, Chicago. And she knows it. And so the old man sends in this, and one of his dreams is to win a major award. And it turns out that he wins this major award. Now, of course, it doesn't say anywhere, but we all know that everybody was able to submit their answers who got this right. Probably 2 million people in the area that got it right. And out of that raffle, he gets it, but he thinks he's the only one. See, the old man is this kindly guy, but he's not real smart. He's just not real smart. And so at any rate, he gets the lamp. It arrives, his major award, and he opens this up. And as Gene said to me one day, out of the blue, he said, "Well, that's a trophy wife." I said, "Gene, that's a trophy wife. He said, yes. He said, just, again, this is his worldview, that men fall in love with women or substitutes for women that are usually things like guns and cars and computers or whatever. And so this thing arrives, and this thing is woman-like. It's bordello-like, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
In fact, Ralphie kind of likes her too.
Yeah, he's a little interested.
Yeah, Ralphie paused a little bit, and
like,
Mom gets upset. See, Ralphie is starting to move into adolescence a little bit.
Yeah.
And so Gene would always have with the two kids, the older one, Ralphie, is just starting to move into adolescence. So the hormones are starting to work, and he's becoming a mini version of his dad.
Yeah.
So he gets this award, arrives, and he takes it out, and he's moving his hips around. See, he's all excited. And he says, I'm going to put this, I know just where it goes, in the front window, because I'm going to turn on the neighborhood. Turn on the neighborhood. What a line. So you see what's going on here. And at that point, Melinda Dillon, playing Mom, looking at what's going on here, this ugly, tawdry lamp that the old man is going, as I say in the book, he's not just putting it in the front window, he's showing it to everybody. And on top of that, he's putting it among the plants, the real plants that Mom has growing there, which are, as Gene said, that's the Garden of Eden. Mom is doing her thing, raising these plants and all.
Harmony.
And then the old man takes this most unnatural, if I can put it this way, sinful thing, this icon, and he plants it right there in the middle in the front window.
Yeah, she's just
And
horrified.
Mom knows at that point, in order to destroy that affair that the old man is having with that trophy wife, she's going to have to break it. And she's going to wait for the right time to break it. She's got to break it well enough that he can't put it back together.
Well, and one of my favorite lines from the whole movie is, "You used all the glue on purpose."
Yes.
Just such a great line. How
Yeah,
about you, Steve?
yeah,
What's your favorite part of the movie?
It doesn't align, I don't think, with anything with the book as far
How
as
do
like
you
themes,
know?
but it might. I think the mom is just the most beautiful character. She's just such a sweet mom. When she is feeding the little boy, the little one, and he's like acting like a little piggy. I just think that's just like essence of being a parent and loving your little kid. It's the fun that they had together. That was so sweet. I think it probably went into my mind as wanting to be a parent, just to feel that with a kid.
Sure.
So I love that scene.
That speaks volumes about you, and I'm not surprised you would say that. Go ahead, Dr. Q. What is your commentary
So
on the parable?
that's in the chapter on the importance of play, to be playful. And the old man has trouble being playful at the dinner table. He's got the newspaper, and he's smart, and he wants to know what's going on in the world, and if the Chicago White Sox have lost again, and he's all upset about this thing or that. And then along comes Mom to convince Randy to eat, and she's going to do it in a very playful manner. And the way she does it, getting him to eat like a piggy. How do the piggies eat?
So sweet.
And they shot that, by the way, with Randy's actual mom just off to the side, making funny faces to help him laugh even more.
That makes sense, because the kid is just reacting so naturally. It's very natural.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
The mom's great,
his mom is making all kinds of, and he thinks it's funny. So that's a very important scene. And you're right that the mom, again, is a hero there, doing such a great thing.
Yeah.
And being such a wonderful mother. I love the scene too. But anything you could mention to me about the movie, I would relate to the book.
Steven,
how about
even
you?
if I didn't put it in the book.
What's your favorite scene in this movie? You know this movie very well too.
Ovaltine decoder ring.
The decoder ring. Yes.
The media.
And at the end it goes, drink more Ovaltine.
In the end,
one of Gene's life lessons, which he knew firsthand, was never trust the media. Don't trust the media. Wow, was he a critic of the media and the not just news, but entertainment and so on. And I remember him talking with me one time. I don't think I put this in the book, but he was talking to me one time about serving on some of the guilds in Hollywood, like the Writers Guild and so on. And he would go to these meetings, and there were these famous people who were on these guild boards with him, and he would tell me their names and so on. And then he would tell me that they are complete charlatans. He said the way they act, and give interviews and what they say about life and so on is completely different. They're really a-hole this and a-hole that, and it really soured him so much on Hollywood. He did not have a high view of Hollywood at all, or the media in general. He did like sports a lot, especially football, and followed the Chicago Bears pretty closely.
Well, he got to witness a Super Bowl, 1985, so that one must have been fun for him. Chapter 8 is Don't Trust the Media. I wonder what Gene Shepard would feel about the media today.
Oh, my God.
I mean, talk about the most untrustworthy group of charlatans. It's all about salaciousness. I mean, it's just it's insanity.
What sells?
There's no more Walter Cronkites in the world.
Yeah, the news is awful. And so much of the entertainment is just gross. So much of the comedy. Occasionally, I tune across a comedy channel, and what Gene said to me, and Seinfeld said to me too about comedy, is most of this stuff is just rank. And why do people find it funny? Just to go back to Seinfeld for a minute. So when you look at the Seinfeld TV show, the sitcom, you see the same compassionate attitude toward the characters. Even if they have problems, they're not perfect people. They do some dumb or silly things.
They're selfish.
Whatever,
they're very selfish.
But you still like them.
Yep.
And they still, in the end, like each other.
Yeah.
And he got that from Shepard's compassionate humor.
Mm-hmm.
And so talking with Seinfeld about Gene was quite interesting, because he had said it once in an interview Seinfeld had, that he learned his entire comedic sensibility from Gene Shepard, but I didn't know what all he meant from that until I talked with Seinfeld about it.
Yeah, even the hello, Newman, as much as he had this disdain for Newman, he still had, there's still just such likable
Well, he still could walk into
characters.
his place and, they'd insult each other, but he'd had him in his place, and he got up to hijinks with Kramer all the time in his apartment making sausage and all that kind of stuff.
Jeff, what's your favorite scene from the movie?
Well, having grown up in a pretty strict Catholic family, swearing was
Fudge.
sort of, not very well frowned upon. And I even read a thing that in the 40s, when this movie kind of took place, it was absolutely the worst thing you could possibly say was the F word. And so the kid says fudge, and there's a slow motion scene where the dad is looking, the kid, the dad actually knocks the bolts off of the hubcap when they're trying to change the tire, and Ralphie is holding it, and he says fudge because he had learned it from his dad, but his dad said, "What did you say?" So you have a chapter called Hold Your Tongue. Any comments on that, Dr. Q?
Yeah. Well, I consider that automobile scene the saddest scene in the movie. That the old man is not willing to fess up right away that he's the one that knocked the bolts, and that to admit that he used that word all the time. I think I say in the book it would have been great if the old man had said at that point, when Ralphie says the fudge word, oh man, hey, I say that all the time, 100 times a day, and you learned it from me, but I won't tell mom that you said it and all.
Yeah.
Goes
But
and
of course,
tattles on
He
him.
goes and tells mom.
But wait,
Yeah.
why is that sad?
yeah, why is it bad? Well,
No,
I think
that's what comedy is. That's funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny.
But the fact that he was the one that just told
It,
him,
it
showed him.
hurts Ralphie.
For sure.
But
Yeah,
it's comedy.
And Ralphie wants to be loved by his dad. Of course, the great scene of love with the giving of the rifle to him, when he's the only main character that doesn't get asked for the rifle. That the grace and love at the end, and you look at the way the old man looks when he's watching Ralphie unpack that, and the love he has for him. So Gene didn't think that the automobile scene was so bad that the old man didn't really love him, and he was being nasty or anything. It's just that the old man couldn't control it, and he was embarrassed because he knew he used that word all the time. So,
but he certainly does redeem himself. I mean, watching him, like put the BBs into the gun, and he's just he's so like just engaged with Ralphie's enjoyment of that moment.
And he bought it without anybody knowing, and kind of had it as the last gift that Ralphie got to open, and said, "Hey, there's one more gift over there."
The gift topper.
That's right. Yeah. That the shooting of that scene by Bob Clark, the way he got the performers with that unwrapping and looking at Ralphie and his face and what he's doing, and then seeing the old man and mom together, and what on his face, and then having mom look at the old man, and and thinking how much he really does love their son. That scene is spectacular.
It really is, and it just wraps up the movie so nicely. Before I forget, where can people find your book? Because if this ain't the greatest stocking stuffer, and KG, are you digging into a bag of chips there, or what's going on?
Is he
back
rowing
there?
a boat?
I think his dog missed
I'm
him.
not actually. No, I'm going to be switching cars in 2 minutes and heading to a dinner function.
Oh
but
yes,
I want to hear. I'm trying to finish strong here. Sorry about the noise.
That's okay.
No problem.
Sorting out things.
Finish strong, yeah. Well, it's okay, a little potato chips here and there, but
where do we get the book?
Oh, the book, yeah. So, of course, on Amazon, if you want it. By the way, there's the audio version of the book on Amazon, which I recorded, and I recorded it the way I thought Gene would have done it.
Nice.
Quentin, I just have to share something with you. This is the first book that wasn't assigned to me that I have read since probably college, and I wish I were kidding. I've written more books in the last 15 years than I have read, and it made me discover, this reading books isn't so bad, but now knowing that there's an audio version of the book, this could have saved.
And Dr. Quentin did it, so I'd love to listen to it. I love audiobooks, so I'll be finding that.
Yeah, I did it, and I got into all kinds of trouble with the company that does their audio stuff, with Amazon's audio stuff. Nitwits.
We don't like them.
It was interesting thing about it is that I wanted to do all of the voices a little bit differently, and get the kind of intonation and so on that Gene would use, but also to add a little bit.
Well, and you also have a warmth to your voice that's similar in some ways to Gene Shepherd. I mean, your voice lends itself very well to being a storyteller.
Well, thank you.
Any final words before we?
I'm downloading it now.
There is a web page that you can order a signed copy, personally signed.
I already got a signed copy.
And shipped.
You can get twice done.
The person and shipped for $18, I think it is. And Jeff, I'm going to ask you. I'll give you that to put it on the final version here at some point.
Okay.
I can't remember the. I should be able to bring this up. Hold on a second.
We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, put it on the screen. Here we go. Okay, the Square sale site where my book is. My wife's new novel is there too.
Oh.
And another one of my books. It's Quentin-Schultze. Quentin-Schultze.square.site.
Perfect.
Quentin-Schultze.square.site. And I've got one box left.
Oh.
Everything else is, in terms of being able to sign, is sold out.
Nice.
And this thing was a bestseller on Amazon last year, and it's starting to ramp up again. And I don't.
'Tis the season.
Yeah, it's the season, and I don't put this out a lot because I can't get the books and sign them all and send them out. I can't be in that business,
Sure.
But occasionally I do that. For this podcast, it sounds perfect.
Yep.
I got to tell you that sometimes I write things and then I read them a few years later, whatever. I'm embarrassed. I always see how I could have done it better. And in preparation for this podcast, I was going back through the book and reading some of it, and I thought, including those boxes I have in there where I have some trivia that's related to what I'm talking about and all.
Little side stories.
Little side stories and all. And I thought, wow. And then I had hired this artist to do the line drawings. Gene Shepard did line drawings. He loved line drawings. So I hired an artist to do line drawings for the book. And when I looked at the whole package and came together, I thought, wow, how can I tell more people about this book? How can I get the word out? I love it. I love the doggone book that I wrote.
It's a phenomenal book. And it is funny that you bring up those little, sort of side stories. I just thought that it was constructed so well. And even those little line drawings, there's one in there of like the turkey wing and, the line drawing of the leg lamp. I mean, I can't recommend this book enough.
You wrapped it all up in the appendix about how to tell a good story, and that's really important. You two have lived and survived. That was sort of the mantra of Gene Shepard, and that was sort of wrapped up in all of his storytelling parables and insights, and you put it together in a 7-step process for communicating and writing your own. So maybe we can wrap it up on that with you sort of sharing a little bit of a concluding story.
Yeah. What an opportunity I have had to get to know somebody of that talent, and in such an unusual way that he even responded in the first place. And I'm just so amazed by it. And I have a friend who's doing a documentary on Gene Shepard. It's really going to be great. He's been working on it for over 10 years, and he interviewed me as part of the documentary. But about a year and a half or 2 years ago, he sent me a little video clip of the guy who was the director of many of Gene's PBS movies for public television. Wonderful director. And he had interviewed him, and he sent me a clip where this director said that one of the great joys in Gene's life was to find out that there was this professor that was doing this whole course on his work, and he talked about it. And I thought, wow, this is long after Gene has died. Gene never said anything to me like that he was glad that we did that or anything. But apparently as he moved along in life, feeling like people did not understand the quality of his storytelling. It was funny and all that, but the ideas in it, he really saw it as literature, that he was doing literature, and I think he was in his own style.
Oh, without question.
Yeah, so to find that out from this, I don't know if that'll be in the documentary or not, but it just blew me away when he sent me that little thing. And I thought I brought some real joy and respect to Gene, which he needed. He had a rough childhood. He was married 4 times and often not a likable guy. And I tried to just support him and encourage him and tell him he was doing a good job and appreciate him. And it turned out, along with the theme of being nice, that it made a difference in his life.
Well, and I think the fact that, that you took the time to interpret his work the way that you have, when you think about the classic storytellers, whether it's, Mark Twain and the people that have interpreted his work, Neil Ford is another example, but just the, you honor him by writing this book. And I think you've done him really proud. So I just want to thank you again for your time. Yeah. The book is truly fantastic. It's a gift to, he's already playing the music. I guess that means that we're ready to roll. But thank you, KG. Thanks for checking in. Hope you have a great dinner. And Dr. Quentin Schultze, we appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
And have a lovely holiday. Or Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Dr. Q. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And with that, off we go.